Hi everyone, it is David Ault, and I am ceaselessly in awe of the way in which the universe has our back. When I say has our back, I'm not talking about something that coddles us, but something that works ceaselessly in keeping us in integrity. And one of the ways that I find that happens is correlated to the quote in A Course in Miracles that says, love brings up everything unlike itself. So if I stand before you and I say that I am an advocate for love, then universally it's like everything unlike love rises up to give me the opportunity to make good on my advocacy. And I've always been an advocate for beginner's mind. I have talked about that and encouraged students to do that. I have proclaimed and advocated that I do that. And beginner's mind simply means that I never want to be complacent. I never want to be comfortable. I never want to put a period where a comma should be, because things are always evolving. And even with something as long-standing as the philosophy that I have been in, how can I look at things with fresh eyes and hear things with fresh ears? And so I was noticing the other day how sad I felt. I felt sadness, I felt anger, I felt all of this uncomfortable emotion stirring within me. And it all came from Facebook. Let's blame Facebook. It came from Facebook and the memory tab. You know, when you pop on the thing that says memory, and then it shows you everything that went on in this same day in years past. And there were images there, and it hurt, and there was sadness, and there was unresolved anger, and it felt so uncomfortable, and I just wanted it to go away. And I reached out to a friend, and we were talking about it, and he said to me, he goes, "Don't you remember that podcast that we were listening to by Ram Dass, where he said, 'Love your thoughts'?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, don't you remember that Baba said that all of those things that are there to serve us? So don't try to escape the thoughts. Don't try to downplay the thoughts or turn away from the thoughts, but love them. And in the loving of those thoughts, transformation occurs." And that's when beginner's mind popped in. Because being a part of philosophy for many, many decades, one of the mottos has always been, change your thinking, change your life. I could get behind that. Taught it many, many years in a variety of ways, and explored many examples of how the science of energy and thought does exactly that. But I realized too, in my love of language, that sometimes when we say things like change your thinking, that we as individuals could do what I was doing when I didn't like my thoughts, that I wanted to escape them. And so changing your thinking can sometimes sound like this maybe punitive mandate. You know, you got to stop thinking that way. And so what we will do is we will try to escape them, or we will feel bad for even having them. And because unless you can change your thinking, you won't change your life. And so maybe there are times when it's not as easy as that. And so when my friend reminded me what Baba said about love your thoughts, I just went, oh my God, I don't want to say change your thinking, change your life anymore. What I want to do and to advocate is love your thinking. Love your thinking, transform your life. You know the idea or the distinction between change and transformation? A change, I can change my mind, I can change my habit, I can change a geographical location, but I can also revert back. But in transformation, there is no reversal. Transformation is best shown by example through nature. So remember that the oak tree cannot squeeze itself back into the acorn. The flower cannot shrink back into the bud. The infant cannot go back into being an embryo. Nature is brilliant in showing us what true transformation looks like. But how does that apply to us in human form? And the only thing that I can imagine where we would have transformation without reversal is through consciousness, through beginner's mind, through our willingness to never think that we know that already. And again, to always be moving forward into something, into the mystery, rather than being loyal to the history. And so I don't want to say, change your thinking, change your life anymore. I want to say, love your thinking, because it is in the loving that that transformation begins to happen. We begin to see the value. It's like the poet Rainer Maria Rilke, he wrote this. He said, how should we be able to forget those ancient myths that are at the beginning of all peoples? The myths about dragons that at the last moment turn into princesses. Perhaps all the dragons of our lives are princesses who are only waiting to see us once beautiful and brave. Perhaps everything terrible is in its deepest being something helpless that wants help from us. And he goes on to say, so you must not be frightened if a sadness rises before you larger than any you have ever seen. You must think that something is happening with you, that life has not forgotten you, that it holds you in its hand and it will never let you fall. Why do you want to shut out of your life any uneasiness, any miseries, or any depressions? For after all, you do not know what work these conditions are doing inside you. It's very similar to Rumi's classic poem called The Guest House. I mean, it's just so amazing how there have been so many sages that have constantly wanted to remind us to not run away, but to turn towards, to look at, to embrace, and to love what is in that moment. And maybe, just maybe, that is the thing that primes you and I for real transformation. Know that you are loved. Know that my constant prayer for you is exactly that, transformation. And I do love you. Thanks.